Very good. Okay, thank you. Well, good day and welcome to the Board of Selectmen special meeting, the 31st of August at 2:30. We have three items on the agenda. One is to approve the special town meeting agenda. The next is to authorize myself as first selectman to sign paperwork for the STEEP grant, and then the third item is to discuss and hopefully approve a salary and wage survey company that would work for us. So the first item, I've tried to schedule a special town meeting to be on the 13th of September, and I'll read the agenda. Electors and citizens eligible to vote in town meeting and all interested persons are hereby warned that a special town meeting will be held on Monday, the 13th of September 2021 at 7:30 p.m. in the meeting hall, the Old Lyme Memorial Town Hall, 52 Lime Street, Old Lyme, Connecticut. The special town meeting will be conducted in person only. The meeting will consider and act upon the following business item: whether to appropriate $42,000 in connection with police overtime and ranger time incurred during fiscal year 2020 to 2021, some of which was incurred in connection with the town's response to the COVID-19 virus, which the town reasonably expects will be partially reimbursed to the town by the U.S. federal government, dated at Old Lyme, the 31st day of August 2021. And if we approve it, it would be in parenthesis, the above business item was approved by the Board of Selectmen at its meeting on the 31st of August 2021, signed by the various select people. I have prepared a piece on this $42,000 appropriation. It starts out with the same recitation of the motion, and break it down into three parts: the police overtime, the ranger time, and the COVID reimbursement. With the arrival of Resident State Trooper Weber, he determined that the 2021 police overtime budget of $43,482 was inadequate to properly fund the various purposes for overtime. During the budget process for fiscal year 2022, which covers the period 1st of July 21 through June 30th, 22, the Board of Finance approved $80,220 for police overtime. The preliminary actual overtime spending in 2021 was $102,890. That comes off our budget sheets that we get on a monthly basis. That was the one for June, which is not the final, so that's why it's preliminary. The preliminary actual overtime police of $102,890 versus the budget of $43,482, there's a difference of $59,408. Because of various underspending and other police items, the preliminary actual overspending for the entire police budget for fiscal 21 was $34,294. Accordingly, the requested appropriation of $42,000 will cover the overspending amount of $34,294 and provide a cushion for any last-minute year-end entries, which the finance area hopefully is about reach the end. Concerning ranger time, the ranger time budget for fiscal 21 was $40,000, and the preliminary actual spending was $74,614. The difference of $34,000 $614. Similar to the police overtime, the ranger time is also included within the entire preliminary police budget overspending amount of $34,294. COVID reimbursement. Now this would be on the income side. For the first quarter of 2021, which is July 1 through September 30th, 2020, the town calculated the following reimbursement amounts. Police overtime, $5,785. Ranger time, $19,775. Other reimbursables, $38,681, for a total anticipated reimbursement of $64,241. If the above sums are approved by the federal government for reimbursement, the town should receive $64,241 for its submittal. Of that, the town should receive $25,560 to reimburse police overtime and ranger time expenditures. Now, when I say reimburse, it doesn't actually reduce the line item, it just is an income, offsetting income. So subtracting the $25,000 between the ranger and the police overtime from the $42,000 appropriation, there'd be a balance of $16,440. When considering the totality of reimbursements the town will receive, not from only this, but other COVID and FEMA reimbursements, even this remainder should be covered. And I think when we went through the town meeting, Dave Roberge talked about those items. That's a brief statement. I wanted to run this by Trooper Weber for his input, but that comes off of our budget sheets. So I think the difference between this item and the one that was presented before is that we making it clear that police overtime, some of it relates to COVID, but a majority of it relates to other than COVID. Talking with Dave Roberge, the submissions for future quarters in fiscal 21 will likely not have a lot of COVID reimbursement. The first quarter takes us up through September, and as we know, the beach pretty well calms down after Labor Day. He will have some additional activity having to do with the shot clinic that happened at the school and a couple of other minor things. And when you get around the corner to the spring, when the beach starts picking up again in May and June, this past May and June, there was not much in the way of actual COVID reimbursable. But certainly the police overtime and the ranger time was used for non-COVID things. So that's my analysis, and we throw it open for discussion to you, selectmen.
I don't have any comments. I think you detailed it very nicely. There you go.
I wonder who else has looked at these numbers. Has finance verified these numbers?
Did finance? No. No, it was pulled off the budget sheet, so I haven't shown it to Nicole for her input, but it's pretty much picks it off those line items.
Well, when I attended the last Board of Finance meeting, we did the carryover, so the books are closed, so why wouldn't we have the final numbers as opposed to, you said there might be some more?
I don't think we've seen the final numbers for the town year-end results. I think the accountants have been working to finalized numbers, but I don't think I think we get a final sheet that would encapsulate all the carryovers and so forth, but I've not seen that as yet.
And why was this information not available earlier this month for the public and the taxpayers?
It was not put on paper, it was available.
There was nothing for the taxpayers that
Well, this board approved the recommendation to the town meeting. The Board of Finance approved it, so I think those are two fairly strong approvals, and so the individuals who opposed it asked for more information. We're trying to provide it.
Yeah, you are, but you were asked for it for that meeting and it wasn't there, and that's my question. Why wasn't this available to the public? So we have,
Well,
that's why we have to do it a second time.
It wasn't provided. And you actually approved it along with the rest of us, so you didn't ask for it at the time.
That is not true. You heard me, and I recorded messages. I asked for you to show me the math. You didn't have it at our meeting, and then I said, you better have it.
Well, here it is.
And you didn't have it then. That's not true, Tim. That is a lie.
Well, you did approve it.
I approved going to town meeting, let the
Yes.
taxpayers weigh in. Yes, I did.
All right.
But I asked for the math, I asked for
You
the data.
approved the motion
Yes,
to...
I did.
Okay, so that's a fact.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Well, what isn't also a fact is you didn't have the data at our meeting, and you didn't have the data for the taxpayer to back it up, and when taxpayers asked for your input, nobody had a response. That is a fact also. So my
Fine.
question still holds. Why wasn't this available at the initial
I have
meeting?
responded to your question already.
No, you did not. You've gone circular around it. You've not responded to it. It's embarrassing.
Well, this is it now, right? This is what we're approving?
Chris, this
Well,
is
the
something
motion
Tim has done
would-
today for us.
That's fine. It answers the questions.
How do you do it? This isn't verified by anybody.
Well, we've got 2 weeks to verify. You have 2 weeks to look at it and see if it's
Is it going
the
back to
case.
the Board of Finance? Do we have to?
No.
They don't have to approve going to town meeting? This appropriate? They did not do it.
They've already approved it.
No, they did not. I was at the last meeting. During the selectmen's report, David Kelsey, the chair, basically came to you and said, take this back to town meeting. There wasn't a vote on it.
It's the same number.
I understand that, but the process is we approve it to go to town meeting, the Board of Finance approves it. That vote hasn't taken place. So my question is, does the Board of Finance have to have a special meeting like we have?
Possibly. I haven't determined that.
Well, can we approve this contingent upon Board of Financing approving it?
Well, usually we approve it, and then they can come along and approve it. It's the same dollar amount, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's a material change, but I'll ask David if he thinks the Board of Finance should look at it, and they could have a telephonic meeting within the next couple of weeks.
Well, with that argument, we don't have to meet again either. Why do we have to meet again if they don't have to meet again?
Because financially, it's the same number.
Yeah, you said that, and so they don't have to meet again, it's the same number, why do we have to meet again?
We call for the town meeting, so I think it's appropriate that we call for the date of the town meeting, and you have to sign the paper, just get it in the newspaper and all that.
So, just so I'm clear, this is the backup for the reason to have a town meeting again to support the request for an appropriation of $42,000, and it allows some cushion for any last minute year entries. And we don't know if Trooper Weber agrees with these, or our finance director agrees with these, or the Board of Finance. Is that correct?
We'll ask, yes.
And when you say ranger time, so it's not rangers overtime, it's just rangers.
Rangers pretty much work straight time. I think ranger overtime is more of an exception because there are a number of rangers, and the line item doesn't say ranger overtime, it says ranger, or it says parking enforcement, so
Okay.
it more properly should be probably ranger, because they don't delineate the way they do with the police line.
Okay. And since you put in your memo, that the budget was increased for police overtime for this current fiscal year by $80,000, I guess to show people that we understood that previous budgets were budgeted low. Right now, based on what I heard from the finance department, I think Nicole said at our meeting that they were 71% of budget already. So is 80,000 enough? Do we know?
That's what Weber said. They went obviously over. We know some of it was COVID related, whether there were other extenuating circumstances, but we're depending on him to set the number. He went through all the shifts and it was very much too low, and so he recommended that number. I think he looked at all the various reasons people would be absent and so forth and so on, and then came up with that. So,
okay. I just really feel like we need to have the finance department look at this because I'm getting different information. I was told that the Rangers were over by 27,000 in fiscal year 21, and this is 34,614. So I don't know if that's all Rangers. Some of that PD.
you're talking about Rangers?
Yeah, in your memo, you said that they were over by $34,614.
Yeah. That's what shows up on the sheet for parking enforcement.
But finance informed me the Rangers were over by 27,000 in fiscal year 21. So is some of that 34 and change really PD?
That's for the first quarter reimbursement. The 19,000 is what we should expect to receive from the federal government.
No, I'm talking under your Ranger time paragraph. You said there's a difference of 34,614. So I'm assuming that's the overage.
Right, but the total police line is overexpended 34,294.
Mm-hmm.
It includes all police items, ranger, police overtime, vehicles, salaries, you name it, everything. So the fact that these two items were considerably over, there were some underspending that mitigated that, and so as of the 12th of July, the report shows the department was over 34,000, and I'm not sure where that's going to settle out once all entries are processed for the fiscal year, and it's what you'd see in the audit. And I have a feeling that when Nicole mentioned to the Board of Finance the 42,000, that was to provide a cushion in case some additional things came to light that would change the budget lines.
Okay, well, so, okay. I just still think you should have this verified by finance, but, because I just don't know. It doesn't make sense for either of us to approve this, if for us to approve this, if it's not going through the process like we did last time with the Board of Finance approving it too, because they have not approved this. They threw it back at you to bring back to town meeting.
Well, we could certainly check whether that's a requirement, and they can meet with a day's notice just like we can, so.
Okay.
Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, are we ready to vote? All in favor of recommending the special town meeting agenda? Say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
It's a nay.
Nay.
Okay. Okay, it passes. All right, the next item is a procedural thing, the Small Town Economic Assistance Program, STEEP. There's a general municipal certification that needs to be given to them, which gets this process moving more quickly. It's a statement which recites the project number, Ferry Road Sidewalk Improvements. It says, I, Timothy C. Griswold, duly authorized by the town of Old Lyme, hereby certify and attest to the following as applicable to the project activities to be funded by the STEEP grant. And it goes through 15 conditions. That the method used for procuring any professional engineering design technical services to be funded by the STEEP grant is in accordance with the established municipal procurement procedures and applicable state policies, orders regarding architectural consulting fees. Project plan specs, estimates for the project to be funded by a STEEP grant have been approved and accepted by the municipality. Any exceptions or deviations from the applicable design standards have been authorized by the municipality and are documented and retained in the project records. Municipality owns or has responsibility for maintaining the facility for which the STEEP funding has been awarded and will be responsible for all future maintenance of the facility or otherwise satisfy the proper future maintenance is provided for. That all public and private utility relocations have been addressed. All required permits and approvals from federal, state, and local agencies have been obtained, and all applicable permit conditions and regulations will be complied with. That the public has been informed of the project, concerns of the public have been considered, and the project is in the best interest of the general public. That the project complies with the Connecticut Environmental Policy Act. Coordination with the State Historic Preservation Office has been conducted. That the project is consistent with Municipal Plan of Conservation and Development, the POCD. Municipality has coordinated with the Department of Transportation Office maintenance during the design phase of any work to be performed within the state right of way. And the design has been deemed acceptable right of way, that any necessary property rights have been properly acquired for work to be performed. Project complies with the ADA Act of 1990. Project plans and specs are complete and signed and sealed by the engineer architect of record. Construction inspection will be provided to adequately ensure the project is constructed in accordance with project plans and specifications. And last, that the project financial accounts have been established specifically for this project as to provide for proper accounting and documentation. And that would be signed by myself, and then the municipal seal from the town clerk. Oh, I guess the authorization to have me sign this. Some of these things have been done, some are being done, and some will be done. So we're.
How much is this grant for?
$126,000. So the total project that's submitted to the state is $150,000. There's a $24,000 match by the town. We know that if the sidewalk is relocated to the north side, that there will be additional work required for that, to protect the trees and a couple of removals and so forth. So we have funds in the budget in addition to those two amounts I mentioned to cover extra work such as that.
So we're not going to spend any money on this until we get the...
Well, we've been, Jacobson Engineering has worked on this, part of my involvement actually.
Mm-hmm.
So they've spent engineering money looking at the project, and they've helped us. They prepared some of these schematics when we were talking about south side, north side, that sort of thing.
Right.
And engineers come to a couple of meetings to provide input from an engineering standpoint.
I know that Chris had asked that before, and it never came to this board, any work on the Ferry Road sidewalks before you were elected. So I know you say that, but I think it's...
I'm not hearing you that well. We're 6 feet apart if you want to pull your mask.
I'm not going to take my mask off.
Well, then,
in a public building. If you can't hear me, I will speak louder.
That's good.
No work was done on this project. In fact, it wasn't a project under the previous administration, and we have discussed that before. So any work that Nathan Jacobson did on this was either under you, or it was done by the previous administration without this previous board's knowledge.
Well, we're not pointing...
I find that hard to believe. Now, does this grant then cover the engineering work that's done before you sign this? Or?
I'm hoping so, yeah. I will find out from Steep and so forth, but obviously they had to help prepare the Steep application.
Yes.
So if there are things that the state wouldn't cover, then we would have to do that separately. But the hope is that the engineering work in conjunction with the project, it's a catch-22. You can't get a grant without having some engineering work done.
I'm just addressing the fact that this wasn't a project before you were elected, at least not one that came to the attention of the Board of Selectmen. First time we spoke about this was after you got the Steep grant, which was in 2020 sometime. November, December.
Well, if you going to do a project, you have to get an engineer involved before you even submit it. So I don't know what you're arguing about, but
I'm not arguing. I'm just stating a fact. You said this work was done before you.
Well, I bet it was.
Anyways, we need...
It was not.
Do you need a motion to sign?
Yes.
I'm going to make a motion to sign that so we can get the money.
Have the first selectman sign it.
Yes.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. next item is the wage and salary survey consultant. And Michelle has been very helpful. Michelle Noren has been helpful in lining up a couple of interviews and looking at proposals, and I think we're in a position to make a recommendation. So, would you care to approach, bring the chair up, and we can go through this a little bit?
So we interviewed 2 companies. Both are on a list of recommended agencies from CCM, so we felt good about that. The first company we interviewed is the Human Resource Consulting Group, and we had a great interview with them. We expressed the importance of the process being very employee-friendly and making sure that they're included throughout all the steps so that there's buy-in from our employees. We really liked their approach and attitude to that. We also interviewed the Human Resource Consortium, expressed the same things. They also had a good attitude. They came in a lot higher than the first folks did, so we would like to go with a Human Resource Consulting Group if it is all right with everyone here. Essentially, how the process will work, we would hope that this would start in September, and it would start with job description reviews. So the employees would be part of that process in reviewing, does their job description match what they're currently doing? They'd be interviewed by the consulting group. Updates would be made to their job descriptions. Those would go to their supervisors for their input as well, and ultimately to the first selectman for approval. And then the second piece of that would come after is the salary review, in which they look at towns of similar size and similar positions and do comparisons to see if we're above, below, or average to everyone else. So the process is the same for both companies. We do have money already in the budget for this. I think it's 20, do you remember, Tim? It's 20 something?
20,000, yeah. We tried to calculate the fees. The first outfit, 30th Human Resource Consulting, they base it on a per person fee, and so we did the math on that, and we think it's probably at about $9,450, but you know, that's based on 20 full-time and 7 part-time, and but there might be additional things, but certainly under 10,000 is well within the range that was available. The other outfit, just to get the fee, I believe they projected between 22,750 and 28,000.
I should have added earlier too, we're only looking at the non-union positions. So this is just for the town hall positions. And both companies said that they can do most of the work by video, so that will save us on any sort of travel costs.
Right, yeah, because I think the first outfit was $150 an hour plus mileage. So if they stay put, that's good.
Yep. Do you have any specific questions?
No, just long overdue, what we're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely something the employees have wanted, so it's good to get it going.
And we're still going to do some reference checks, I guess, right?
Yep.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, both have worked with several towns, so we can certainly check with some of those towns.
Tim, were you involved in both interviews?
I did not actually speak with the second one. I was on the phone with the first one.
Which was the first one?
30th Human Resource.
The Human Resource Consulting Group.
Okay.
Do they? That's not part of their title, I guess.
No, it's just their 30th anniversary.
It's just their anniversary.
Yeah.
So Human Resource. They both have the same.
It's very, consortium and consulting group. It's confusing.
And the budget for this fiscal year that the town recently approved, was the money for a job survey, salary survey rather, or did it include job description review?
I think there were a number of carryover amounts, probably $5,000 or $6,000 that related to prior carryovers and so forth, and then the other line was an HR function, sort of because the two items might be, one, to do the survey, and then secondly, to analyze and provide a resource to us for human resource issues. It wouldn't be somebody that would be hired to be in the building, it would be a contract type of thing. So I think that if we took all the carryover amounts, spent that on the survey, if the survey was slightly more, then we would utilize some of the $20,000 number to finish that off, and then this outfit might even be in a position to do that second stage, which would be the human resource aspect. But we may want to, again, look beyond just salary and survey and say what other outfits might do that.
Yeah, my question was, if we're approving something outside what the budget allowed for, and you're saying it is not. You're saying that the budget that the town just approved will allow us to do all this, not just a salary survey.
Yeah. That I have a feeling that the 20,000 wasn't exclusively for the HR resource type thing, as opposed to if we needed a bit for this, because when we talked to Board of Finance, there was discussions about both. And I don't know that anybody would have expected that the 6,000 or whatever it might be in miscellaneous amounts, a bunch of them at 1,000, I think there's a 3,000, would be sufficient for the salary survey. Because I think they talked about 15 when the other person did it. I'm not sure what the budget was for the prior one. We do have the job descriptions, so I guess that was factored into this, that they wouldn't have to start from scratch.
Right.
So we could certainly clarify with the Board of Finance, but I don't think there'd be any objection to more or less merging the funds and paying for both aspects of it.
Do you not think $350 for a job description, when we already have a draft for much of this, is a lot?
The what?
That's the inclusive amount. It includes the salary survey part and the job description.
Yeah. You don't think that's a lot of money for each one when we already have?
Well, it's their time in talking to our staff and updating it. So I don't think that seems like a lot, especially compared to the other company.
Well, I mean, the two companies' budgets are very different. And that was one of my questions, is why are they so different? It was hard from the information you provided, and thank you for that, to understand why they were so different. I mean, the compensation job description review proposal for Human Resource Consulting Group, the group you're recommending, struck me as being totally top-down. And then you were in the interview, so you're getting a different perspective. When I read this, it's like, we're going to review what they have, we're going to talk with the key stakeholders. It's very rarely do they mention the involvement in the employees, where the other group, at least the information you provided, starts with reviewing the JD with the staff and looking at the changes, the updates. I mean, to me, it was a totally different,
Well, I think I could give some clarity to that. This proposal from the consortium was sent after we had the conversation with them, in which we told them the importance of, or I did, including staff. This one we got first and then spoke to them, so that's probably why. They knew how much heavily we wanted employees to be part of the process when they wrote this up, whereas this company didn't know that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, well, that's apparent, so thank you for saying that, because it really did not put the employee first, and in your little memo to us, you said they were very employee-centric, and I read this twice, and I thought, oh, see that. Okay. And I guess I could ask, what happens to the people we used before? Why was that firm not considered? Since they did the work, one would think they might be able to do some updates at less cost to the town.
What was the last company? What was the last company?
Randy Frank Consulting.
Called Randy Frank, I believe.
You still in business? Mary Jo?
I don't know.
They were not on the CCM list that we got.
That was a group brought to us by Nicole.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it a group or was it an individual? I don't know much about that.
Well, it was when you were in office before that this was done.
No.
Well, anyway, it was started down. I think it was finished.
I had Bill Swords who started it.
I went to Randy Frank after that.
Randy Frank came in after.
But anyways,
I think
they're not on the CCM list. This is good that these guys are approved by the CCM.
I'm just saying for a budget, for a taxpayer's interest, it would be interesting to me to see what the current person could do for us as sort of a third, since these two are so different. It might make sense to get a third person to see if we can find something in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were around when that was done. Do you?
I was not, so that's why I thought it was under you. It was done before I was elected.
Yeah.
And I know, but I know when I was elected, when a new employee came on, that wasn't done with the Randy Frank study, that the job description went out to her and she drafted something so that we should have a job description for everybody already. That she's touched, she's looked at, or her firm has looked at. And it just seems to me that we should get a third bid that's somewhere in the middle, because these are so different. Significant money difference.
Yeah, we could maybe try to Google it and see.
Well, why don't we take one of the third list off the approved CCM list and give them the exact what you want out of that? Was it the first one? The second, the one that you like. Use that as the model. Say this is what I want. So it's apples to apples.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. We're trying to not delay this much more because it's already been delayed for so long. We were hoping to have them start in September to wrap up by the holidays.
Well, I appreciate that, but you're right, it has been a really long time. It's going to be clocked for a very long time. But the fact is, this survey is going to be completed under another administration. So you would think that the next administration might want to have some say in it too. So I think that's something to consider also. Chris and I won't be here, is my point.
Well, I think we're going to be hiring way before while we're here. So.
Yeah, I don't think we want to wait till November for that.
No, I'm not saying that, but I don't think we waited this long, and it seems to me that why rush it now? Let's get a third one, let's take our time, let's review it before we jump. It's taken a long time, and I appreciate yourself taking the lead in this, but I actually would have preferred to see a committee set up with somebody like Michelle perhaps leading it. Tim, you only met with one of these groups. If she took the lead, that's great, but we've had a lot of time to maybe plan this, maybe have a committee, maybe we have some representation from the employees in town hall besides Michelle on this election. think
I don't know that we want to have the town hall employees making the decision.
It'll be like the dog wagging the tail wagging the
No.
dog. I'd be open for a third suggestion. I mean,
We could inquire about that firm and see, maybe do a little due diligence
Well,
to see if it's still around. Maybe, I don't know, if CCM might know of it. And, for instance, the one we're talking about is 34 years old. They have 15 people. So, it's an established place. So we could check out. I don't know anything hardly about the Randy Frank operation, and we can find out.
Yeah, you could check your references and then we could discuss it.
I don't think they've had any follow-up with us that I've heard of in the last 2 years anyway.
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
all right, so we're going to get another quote?
Well, we could report back on this. I think we're meeting the 8th, I think it is.
So, I think.
So we could bring this up then. We can update. Because I know everybody's very eager to get this moving.
7th for me.
Isn't 7th Labor Day?
No, 6th Labor Day.
Oh, is it?
7th and Tuesday.
Okay.
4 o'clock.
All right, so the 7th then. Okay, I think if there's nothing more,
Well, it's a special agenda, so we really can't add anything, but I wanted to thank Michelle again. And I wanted to say I'm disappointed that Cindy did not consider adding an appropriation for the municipal expenses for the sidewalk project to the town meeting as was suggested by the Board of Finance at the last meeting.
well, we can talk about it later on today. I think the only thing I saw was something from Kurt about,
Finish this meeting first?
yeah, probably.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, it is 3:16. Oh, we got this.